How are you?
Doing very well. So I'm curious if you could speak a little bit about what it was like making Cop Out.
When I made Cop Out?
Yeah, it's a different, you've moved out of the Miramax Weinstein stable, and I'm not sure which studio you made it for.
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers, but
I left the
what was it
Weinstein
like?
Brothers and went to the Warner Brothers.
Now I can't get What?
I started laughing at something I said. I was like, that part was serious.
Okay.
Really fucking serious.
I missed the
I was
serious.
telling them how I tried to kill myself, but I was like, no, I really did. And they're like, oh, Cop Out. But you want me to talk about Cop Out?
I would just like to know what the filmmaking process was like working with Warner Brothers rather than with Harvey and his ilk.
Oddly enough, very, very similar in as much as production. Warner Brothers, just like Harvey, leaves you alone. Like, once you get going, they're like, well, that's what we hired you for, go do it. You know, that's kind of like one of the things that I appreciate now about being as long in film as I've been in film, like 15 years. You just get to a point where you don't try to do it all yourself anymore, where you're just like, well, they're wonderful craftsmen, they do this kind of shit, so I'm gonna let these guys do it. That's the studio, it seems to be. I've never heard them say it, and again, it's not like one person we're talking about. Many people make up the studio, but the studio outlook to me, all through production, seemed to be like, well, you know what you're doing, go do it. And that was it. They didn't get involved until afterwards, and then when they see the movie and market it, that's when they kind of get involved. Harvey was very much the same way. So it wasn't that dissimilar, man. I remember like going into it, I was like, what's this gonna be like working for the fucking man and shit like that. Wasn't different. Like basically same thing I had on every flick. The attitude is established from top down. So I didn't come in and suddenly change the way I work based on it being with a studio. So nobody else changed the way they work. So it turned out, well, it was kind of neat. And what's been really interesting is being watching it, like watching them open it. This I've never seen from this side. You know, watching like billboards go up. Many, many billboards. And like being like, there's one strip in Los Angeles, La Brea, where you drive for like a mile and you see 4 billboards that say Cop Out. And it's, you just start to realize like, oh, that's how they do it. Like this is why they were like, you want to change the title? Because we should change the title. Because at first it was just a couple of dicks in the title that rocks. Everybody thinks it's kind of cute. They said the networks aren't going to let us advertise properly. And we have a way we release movies. If there's something that's out of place, if we can't advertise on the network before 9 o'clock, how are we supposed to do that? Shit like that. So, you know, the older I get, the more I'm just like, do what you want. Rose by any other name, you know, it's going to be just as bad. I said, call it Die Hard 5, everyone will go. But now that they've changed it and then it became Cop Out shit, now you can see like why they were distressed, because they you know, they don't thread the needle there, and they fucking make chainsaws. So it's all about like when they release a movie, they're like, it's the bombing of Dresden. They're just making a point, you know? And basically you can't turn anywhere without knowing that movie exists. Doesn't mean you're gonna go see it, but you're gonna know it fucking exists. You're gonna know that choice is there for you. So the marketing, that's been kind of interesting, that aspect of it. Making of the movie was not that different. I mean, it was, you know, it was weird. I worked with Bruce Willis, and that was the first time I directed Bruce Willis. And that's working, I worked with him as an actor in Live Free or Die Hard, and that was different, because when you're acting next to somebody, you know, you're kind of all on the same side, so to speak. And then when you're suddenly in charge, I guess there's a separation. I figured that pretty quickly when I was working with Bruce, that he was just kind of like, I've been doing this for 25 years, man. I'm Bruce Willis and shit. Been Bruce Willis for 25 years very successfully. How long you been Silent Bob, motherfucker? You know, please don't put your loser stink on me. So when we balanced, we found a way to work together, because I came in, generally, like when I make a flick, it's, and every flick I've made up till Cop Out, it's kind of like making a movie in a childproof house, where all the rough edges have a rubber bumper on them, and they stuff the fucking sockets in the wall with plastic or peanut butter. And everything is just, you could throw a baby around in the room and it'll never get hurt, because everything's just padded and safe and shit. Cop Out was like being taken out of the baby-proof house and put into the house where they replaced the edges with sharper edges. You know, they put fucking guns and knives and shit like that. There's a very thin trail that you're supposed to walk through, but it was different. It was just a different beast altogether. A lot of that had to do with dealing with a person who also had a vision for the movie. Every other movie I've ever made, man, apparently nobody ever had a vision for the movie except me, which I guess kind of makes sense because you're the director. So I could be on the set of any of my other flicks and be like, Affleck, put that dick in your mouth. And be like, ugh, okay. Hey, you know, he wouldn't fucking fight it. He'd be like, I fucking don't want to do it, but something about Jersey girl. But you know, so he'd do it without question. It's just anybody I've worked with before would, and not because, you know, I like to see people put dicks in their mouth, but I do. Just because these are cats that are just like, well, I've worked with him before, and there have been times in the past where I'm like, he don't know what he's talking about, and then I see the movie and he does know what he's talking about. So there's more of a trust factor there. With Cop Out, you know, I'd be like, hey, Bruce, put that dick in your mouth, all right? He'd be like, fuck you. It was just different. I was like, I couldn't explain. Like, no, dude, if you put the dick in your mouth, everything's gonna work out fine. Because he's just like, that goes counter to everything I've learned in this movie business. 25 years, never put the dick in your mouth. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you gotta put the dick in your mouth. He's like, I'm not gonna put the dick in my mouth. You know, that's how we made the movie. He would have a vision sometimes. You know, he had an idea of what the movie should look like, and he was valid for wanting or having that vision because he'd been in so many similar movies. Like, the reason we hired Bruce is because, you know, we're playing with the John McClane image. He's a cop and shit like that. So that image has been successful and successfully fucking grouped and taken care of by that guy. So you ask him to come in and do that thing that he's well known for, but it comes with stipulations. Like, he's gonna come in and be like, this is what I do, I'm in charge of that kind of thing. So like how I direct movies, I usually go into actors, like I don't like first take say anything, I just let people go. They're all grown-ups and professionals, they can read it and you know, see what they're gonna do with the lines. After we do a first take, if I don't like the lines and delivery, then I go over and I start tweaking. So like, you know, I'd be like, all right man, Trace, that fucking kangaroo thing was funny, keep the kangaroo thing, don't forget that other thing about the red light, and don't forget to end with that big smile you do, man, that's fun, all right, we'll go again. That's pretty much how I direct. It's not anything more than that. It's not like, you know, some people think it's like all Sam Mendes and shit. Not really, you know. It's not like, you're an antelope. And all of these are lions, but they don't know that you're an antelope. They think you're a lion too. Action. You know, it's make pretend. It's like, go in there and say some funny shit, man. Do this. It's written down for you. We'll make it even easier. So, you know, you do that, and sometimes people just kind of run with it. You do that. Other times people just go like, I don't know. You know, this was one of those times where Bruce would just kind of make it clear that he's the author of his performance. He doesn't need any help. Like, I'd go over there and be like, all right, man, so that was great, boss, excellent take. Do me a favor, when you do that thing about Geraldo, make sure you kind of put the cup down and give him one of those Bruce Willis looks and shit. And then say affably, use that, say affably. They use it that way and shit. And Bruce was kind of looking away when I was talking. Which is good, because then he used that for the dramatic Bruce Willis turn. And he goes, okay, Kev, go back to the monitor, we'll try that out. I was like, thanks, boss. And I went back to the monitor and shit, watching, sitting down next to Adam Siegel, exec producer on the movie. I'm like, action, watching the monitor, going, all right, yeah. Wow, he's doing the same fucking thing he just did in the take. And he didn't say nothing about those things I said. Maybe, you know what, he probably didn't hear me. Cut! Hey, boss, I'm sorry, man, that was awesome. I dug it. It was exactly like the first one. So, what I was looking for on this one is like that thing I was saying, come across like that with that thing, and the Geraldo thing, make sure you hit that really hard. And don't forget to give him that fucking stare. Come on, yeah, like you're giving me right now. Give that fucking stare. All right, we'll go again. Go one more. Sit back down. Action. All right. Fuck, he's doing the same fucking thing. Cut. And then I'm heading over to go say something, and I realize, I look up, and Bruce just looks over at me, and I realize that was Bruce's very kind, very subtle way of communicating, like, I've got it, Kev. You can't come over here and teach me how to act like Bruce Willis. I am Bruce Willis. And so the directing from that point forward, like in terms of like character direction, changed. You know, I'd go up to Tracy between takes and be like, all right, man, that was awesome. Fucking the thing you did with the bogus thing, that fucking is too funny. Say that thing you